Welcome to the Polished Summer Mixtape series. All summer long, we're capturing the heart of the Polished Network by sharing the voices of the women who lead and inspire in our community. I'm your host, Jane Doerman. We're shaking things up and remixing the usual by sharing the mic with some of the incredible women who make the Polished Network so vibrant. Our goal is to encourage, refresh, and renew you through a variety of different perspectives. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with all our episodes. And today I'm excited because in the studio, we are joined by Heather Davila.
So my name is Heather Davila, and I live in Dallas, Texas. And everyone in Dallas knows that doesn't mean anything. I'm actually, more specifically, I am in Farmers Branch, which is a suburb a little bit north of downtown. Okay. And I'm an executive coach for women. And women come to me when they have reached a level of leadership or want to reach a level of leadership where they're realizing, oh, wait, my past way of doing things is only going to lead to burnout. It's only going to serve me in my past level of leadership. And now I'm finding myself either wanting to move forward or I already am. And I'm noticing all of these old habits or mindsets, the inner critic, all of those things are holding me back. And I want to figure out how to move forward. And so they come to me, and a lot of it is strategy, like really practical strategy around how am I going to communicate this to either people above me or people below me, and just creating that safe space to really explore and get creative, because unfortunately, in the workplace, there aren't a lot of safe spaces to say, I have no idea what I'm doing, or I'm really unhappy. Like, what do I do now? You can't really go to your boss. You can't really go to your people that are reporting to you and say those things. So I create that safe place where they can get out of fight or flight, and they can think about next steps for them that would be really fun and authentic and profitable. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about it too, is that what I am doing is I'm helping women make more money, but from a place of authenticity and health. So I co-lead with Tiffany Limbrick, who is unbelievable. Our chapter is called the North Dallas chapter.
Okay.
And it is mostly a smaller group that's meeting right now. We have around like 10 to 15 people that come, and it is really beautiful to be a part of those rooms, because I mean, even this last time we met this past week it was just, the speaker was like, this is a faith-based thing, right? Like, she had to double check herself. And it just made me see how we're all very careful about how we share our faith and how we present ourselves in our faith. And, we were all like, yes, like, you're okay. This is the safe place. And it was this beautiful moment. And I'm so glad the speaker just took a moment to just double check with everybody in the room. Like, hey, I'm about to dive in to what I believe. And so it's that kind of space where you can be a Christian woman in the workplace, but you can also be really, really good at what you do. So we're there to also grow as women in the workplace. And the reason I started, when Tiffany asked me, actually, she was like, hey, would you be into co-leading? I said, yes, because I want to see it continue growing. There are not a lot of spaces right now that I know about. I mean, as I've joined Polished, I've kind of seen other ways women are joining forces, Christian women. But I think Polish is just a unique organization because it has been around for a while. I have not been a part of it for that long, but to know the history of it, that and to get to know women that may have been part of it years ago, had kids and came back, or whatever the story is, that's a huge testimony to what we're doing. And so, yeah, I wanted to keep it going.
This is interesting because I've heard this type of story before where were you invited to it, or did you just hear about it and you just showed up, or how did you first come into contact?
Okay. Yeah. First contact was Boldly. I went to the conference, and a friend invited me to that. And I was just sitting in the audience with my heart just burning inside me. I was like, these are my people.
Yeah.
These are the people that I want to build up in my business as well. Like it just seemed to just go right hand in hand with what God was asking me to do in my business. And so I thought, this is it. This is it. This is the room I want to be in. I want to help it grow. And so then from Boldly, I connected to the North Dallas chapter, and then just kept, that first time I went, I was like, I will volunteer. Like, I'm ready to,
Wow.
And I set up lots of meetings, like with everybody in charge, like, what are y'all doing? What can I do more to help this happen? So that's how I got involved.
There's such a difference when you're in a community of, faith-oriented women, and you can just kind of say, look, I'm struggling. I'm experiencing that. I co-lead a collaboratory here in Cincinnati, and I know you're going to be co-leading one online, hopefully in the coming fall. Just the fact that we have this safe space to come, and these tough nuts that we bring before these women that we're building this relationship with, and we're all learning how to lead like Jesus, from Jesus, like Jesus, biblically based, like what does it look like to navigate these hard challenges, these obstacles that we're experiencing. And Paul's just providing that through the different resources that we have, through the chapters, through the collaboratories, through Boldly. And I agree with you. I see a movement. That's the opportunity I'm seeing. I'm seeing God move in the hearts of his daughters. And I just see this growing, and I see him expanding our network. I see other women stepping up saying, yes, let's do it. Let's, like you said, have these communities where we can just truly support each other, encourage each other, and push, spur each other forward in the work that we're doing.
Yeah. The thing that comes to mind is like representation matters.
Yes.
Like when you're seeing somebody ahead of you that's doing, like a Christian woman who genuinely loves Jesus and wants to do what he's asking her to do, and also is passionate about her work. It's possible to do those things, and wildly, it's possible to do those things and be single. It's possible to do those things and have a family, instead of like this cookie cutter image of what it means to be female in the church that I really grew up with. So I think we're all realizing that mold doesn't fit.
Heather, I'm curious, is there like a passage of scripture or like a verse that is very meaningful to you, like in light of like all this that we're talking about?
I've been really pondering this verse that says, the son can do nothing by himself. He can only do what he sees his father doing, because whatever the father does, the son also does. And that's Jesus talking. He's talking about how he's looking for what God is doing, and then he's joining in with what God is doing, which is a wild perspective. And I think that is such a beautiful picture of obedience that is not very descriptive. It's very vague, because Jesus, this is the thing about the way he did his ministry, is a lot of the things he did was upside down. And people would come to him and say, oh, you're not doing the right thing. This isn't the right thing. This is the way you should do it. And he's challenging a lot of beliefs and systems. And he was very disruptive. So I think about that a lot in the way I'm choosing to work and the way that I'm choosing to grow my own business. I personally am an entrepreneur. But I work with a lot of people that work within corporations and organizations, and helping them realize that they can join in with what God is doing right now, and to be on the lookout for those things. So it really requires a different set of eyes and a different set of feet, because if you see what God is doing, then he's also inviting you in to join him, which is just an even wilder idea to me, that God actually wants us to join in. I think one of the biggest pet peeves I have about sermons or devotionals is this idea that I understand the sentiment on some level that, like, oh, let go and let God, like, just sit back, God is going to handle this on your behalf. And I get what they're saying on some level, but I think that can be very misconstrued, because God is inviting us to work alongside him. God has gifted us with strengths and personalities and connections and so many talents that only we have. It's our job to labor, to co-labor. And so that's really why I love this verse, because it really redefines what it looks like to work.
It does. And I'm curious, what I keep hearing you say is this idea of partnership with God.
Right.
And he's inviting us to work alongside him. I agree, the let go and let God. I have a pet peeve with that phrase as well. Like, I sit there, and part of that invitation is sometimes we're in seasons of waiting.
Sure.
To see how, because that's the watching part, I guess, is drawing into that. And I personally see the waiting season as I want to be active in that season. I feel like I had a conversation with a previous guest where this idea of, like, experimenting, like, let's do some small experiments and see, like, if God opens that door, or like where this leads. Because I do think we are in those seasons of waiting, those maybe wilderness seasons. It can be disorienting, and you're like, I don't even know what my next move is. Right. And I'm curious, what does partnership look like for you, like in God and your work?
Yeah, it is really looking to what he has gifted me with, really seeing what has he placed in my hands, right? And this is what I do all the time with my clients, is I bring it back to what is in your control. We spend a lot of our time and energy thinking about things that are outside of our control. We don't know what the other person is going to say or think or do. We don't know what the decision is going to be, at the higher levels. We don't know if we're going to have to hire or fire this person. We don't know. What we do know is ourselves and how we react to those situations. So a great resource for me is, and what's wild is, so often I can't even see what's in my hands, because my mind is so busy with other things, or looking, or even like I'm time traveling, right? That's what I call it. When you're spending so much time in the future with the what ifs, or so much time in the past, beating yourself up for something you may have done yesterday.
Sure.
But really asking, like, what is in my hands that you have given me to do, and do that. And it sounds very simple. But it takes you out of fight or flight. It takes you out of the responding in anxiety and in worry. And it's a grounding that is so beneficial for your brain to think clearly. Because if you're constantly moving in those you're making horrible decisions. And so yeah, I think that the grounding of what is in my hands is a great way to partner with God. We believe that God has perfect timing. We believe that God is going to give us only what we can handle. We believe that God is a giver of good things. So we can act on that and trust that what he's given us is what we can do.
Are you a working woman looking to elevate your leadership this year? Polished Collaboratories could be your next right step in moving forward in your leadership development. Polished Collaboratories are small groups modeled after executive peer groups, yet available to working women at all levels of leadership. Collaboratory members dive into leadership training with a faith-forward perspective for 12 months. This is your opportunity to tap into diverse perspectives, conquer challenges, and achieve your goals in a united sisterhood. New groups are launching in 2024. We want you to be a part of it. So go to polishednetwork.org/collaboratories to learn more. What advice or encouragement would you give to a listener who may be considering starting their own polished chapter or chapter gathering?
Yeah, call me. Yeah.
Call you. All right. I love that.
Yeah, call me, message me. I'm happy to talk to anybody that is curious about it. If I'm not your, cup of tea, then call somebody else, reach out to Jane, but it's so much more beneficial to talk to a human. I think that we often think in the world of AI and in the world of Google that, well, if I just search this enough, I'll get a clear picture of what it is. But yeah, that's what it is about anyways. Polish is about connecting. So yeah, call me. That would be my first advice.
That's awesome. And then my second question, Heather, is what would you say to the person who needs to attend a polished chapter gathering, who may be aware of one that's around them and they see it, but they're not quite sure? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say that you're worth it. That a lot of that, to me, what I hear is the uncertainty is it really worth my time? Is it really worth the energy of, because it does take time and energy and some cash in some places to head out there, but you are worth the investment of finding a space that feeds you and encourages you where you are. And I really believe that is a unique value that Polish brings. It's not about you coming and having to give something, you coming and having to prep, but it's you go and you can receive the encouragement and the belonging. That's for you. So you're worth it. Get out there and try it.
A huge thank you to our incredible guest, Heather Davila, for sharing her wisdom and experiences with us today. We are so grateful for her leadership and her commitment to emboldening women in their faith and work. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. If you want to learn more, be sure to explore all of our resources, including more information on our polished chapters. You can do that by going to polishednetwork.org. We love sharing this community with you. Let's continue to keep moving forward and remain emboldened. Have a great summer.